VO Nazi SS General Wilhelm Rediess .xx. In the dark days of World War II, when Nazi Germany spread its control across Europe, one man stood out for his cold cruelty in the frozen north. He was Wilhelm Rediess, a high-ranking SS general who ruled over Nazi-occupied Norway with an iron fist. As the leader of the SS and police forces there, he carried out Hitler's brutal orders without mercy. But what made his story even more chilling was how much he was hated, not just by the people he oppressed, but by his own men. They saw him as harsh, unfair, and weak, a leader who demanded everything but gave nothing back. This is the tale of Wilhelm Rediess, the Nazi general who turned fear into a weapon, even against those on his side.
Welcome to Unveiled History.
Wilhelm Rediess was born on October 10th, 1900, in a small town called Heinsberg, in the Rhine province of the German Empire. His father worked as a court official, so the family had a steady but simple life. Young Wilhelm went to school like any other boy, learning the basics and dreaming of a bright future. After finishing his studies, he trained to become an electrician. It was a practical job, fixing wires and keeping lights on in homes and factories. He worked hard at it, but life threw him a curveball during the Great Depression in the late 1920s. Jobs dried up, money was tight, and millions of Germans like him struggled to make ends meet. Rediess lost his work and felt the anger and hopelessness that swept through the country. The world was changing fast. In 1914, World War I erupted, changing his path. In June 1918, when he was just 17, Rediess joined the German army. He served as an infantryman, fighting in the muddy trenches of the Western Front. Bullets flew, bombs exploded, and soldiers on both sides died by the thousands. The war ended in November 1918 with Germany's defeat, and Rediess went home. He stayed in the army for a bit longer, part of the reduced forces called the Reichswehr, until 1920. Then he went back to his electrician job, trying to build a normal life in a broken country. But Germany was in chaos. The Treaty of Versailles had punished the country hard, taking land and money. People were hungry and mad. Groups like the Nazis started to rise, promising to make Germany great again. In 1924, Rediess joined a group called the Völkisch Sozialer Bloc, which was a stand-in for the banned Nazi Party. By July 1925, he was a full member of the NSDAP, the Nazi Party. He also signed up with the SA, the brown-shirted stormtroopers who fought in the streets and protected Nazi leaders. Rediess led a company of these tough guys in Düsseldorf in 1927. But he wanted more power, so in 1930 he switched to the SS, the elite black uniformed group, led by Heinrich Himmler. The SS was stricter and more loyal to Hitler, and Rediess fit right in. Rediess climbed the Nazi ladder quickly, like a man on a mission. By 1931, he was an SS Standartenführer, like a colonel. He led SS units in places like Essen and at Düsseldorf, then moved to bigger roles in Frankfurt and Wiesbaden. In 1934, he took charge of SS groups in Magdeburg, and by 1935, he was a Gruppenführer, a major general commanding in Breslau. Himmler trusted him, and in 1936, Rediess became the leader of SS Oberabschnitt Nordost in Königsberg, East Prussia. He got another big promotion in 1941 to SS Obergruppenführer, the highest general rank in the SS. Politics came next. In 1932, Rediess ran for the Reichstag, Germany's parliament, and won a seat from Düsseldorf East. He kept it until 1945, later representing East Prussia. As a Nazi deputy, he helped push Hitler's laws through. But his real power was in the SS. In East Prussia, he enforced the Nuremberg laws, which were racist rules that stripped Jews of their rights. He oversaw deportations, forcing Jews out of their homes and into danger. Rediess was deep into the Nazi ideas of racial purity, believing Germans were superior and others were enemies. By the late 1930s, Rediess was a key player in Hitler's machine. He commanded police and SS forces, making sure everyone followed the rules. His job included enemy exploration, scouting out places like Norway before the war. He was reliable, tough, and loyal, exactly what the Nazis wanted. But as he rose, whispers started. Some saw him as too harsh, even for the SS. He demanded total obedience and punished mistakes severely. This would come back to haunt him later. When World War II exploded in 1939, Rediess was ready to serve. In East Prussia, he took his cruelty to a new level. He helped with Action T4, a secret Nazi program to kill people with disabilities. They called it mercy killing, but it was murder. Rediess organized the deaths of 1,558 mentally ill people, many of them Jewish deportees. He borrowed gas vans from other SS units, trucks that pumped poison gas inside to kill passengers. It took just 19 days to wipe them out. He even offered a bounty of 10 Reichsmarks for each person killed, like a reward for hunting animals. But when it was time to pay, he backed out, saying it was too much. This betrayal showed his true colors, cold and cheap. In April 1940, Germany invaded Norway in a surprise attack called Operation Weserübel. They wanted Norway's ports and resources. The Norwegians fought back, but the Nazis won in 2 months. Rediess was sent there in June 1940 as the higher SS and police leader, or HSSPF Nord. He worked under Reichskommissar Joseph Terboven, the top Nazi boss in Norway. Together, they ruled with terror. Rediess commanded all SS troops and police, crushing any resistance. One of his big jobs was the Lebensborn program. Started by Himmler in 1935, it aimed to make more pure Aryan babies, kids with blonde hair, blue eyes, seen as the master race. In Norway, Rediess rolled it out in March 1941. He encouraged German soldiers to have children with Norwegian women, who the Nazis thought were racially good. They built special homes for pregnant women, where babies were born in secret. About 8,000 to 12,000 kids came from this in Norway, second only to Germany. Some were adopted by SS families, even sent to Germany without their mother's knowledge. It was all about building Hitler's dream population, but it tore families apart. Worse were the deportations. Norway had about 2,100 Jews, mostly peaceful citizens. Rediess organized their roundup. In late 1942, his police arrested over 700, confiscating their homes and things. They were shipped to Auschwitz on boats like the Donau. Most were gassed right away. Only 34 survived. This was part of the Holocaust, where Nazis killed 6 million Jews. Rediess also oversaw camps like Greenie, where prisoners were tortured and killed. When resistance fighters struck, he ordered revenge, burning villages, executing innocents. In places like Televåg, whole towns were destroyed. You might think a Nazi general would be loved by his troops, but not Rediess. He was hated by his own men, and for good reasons. He was super strict, handing out harsh punishments for small mistakes. Even German soldiers under him faced the death penalty if they stepped out of line, like talking to locals or slacking off. Norway was cold and lonely. Troops were far from home, bored and scared. Rediess made it worse with endless drills and no breaks. He demanded blind obedience, like a robot following orders from above. People who knew him said he had a weak personality. Rolf Fuglesang, a Norwegian collaborator, and General Nikolaus von Falkenhorst, a Wehrmacht leader, both noted how little respect he got. His men saw him as a coward who hid behind a desk, sending others to do the dirty work. Remember the bounty in East Prussia? He promised money for killings but didn't pay up. That betrayal stuck with the killers. He used them and tossed them aside. In the SS, where toughness was everything, Rediess stood out as too extreme, even for Nazis. Letters and reports show officers complaining, asking for transfers. Morale dropped. Soldiers feared him more than the enemy. He clashed with Terboven sometimes, but mostly they spread fear together. His own troops whispered that he was a tyrant who turned on his kind. As the war turned bad for Germany in 1945, the end came fast. Allies closed in. Hitler killed himself on April 30th. On May 7th, Germany surrendered. In Norway, the news hit like a bomb. Rediess knew capture meant trials for his crimes, deportations, murders, terror. He couldn't face it. On May 8th, at Skaugum, the fancy palace he stole from Norway's crown prince, Rediess, met with Terboven. They had a drinking party, but Rediess grew sad, worrying about his family. Then, he shot himself in the head. It was a coward's way out, avoiding justice. Terboven went next, blowing himself up with 50 kilograms of dynamite in a bunker. The blast destroyed both bodies. Nothing was left to bury. Norwegians celebrated freedom. Flags waved. People danced in the streets. But the pain lingered. Over 9,000 Norwegians died under occupation. Traitors like Vidkun, Quisling were tried and executed. Rediess escaped that, but history didn't forget. He was named a war criminal at Nuremberg trials, his name tied to Holocaust documents. The death of Wilhelm Rediess raises difficult questions. By taking his own life, he escaped the judgment and accountability that so many felt he deserved. Do you believe his suicide was an escape from justice, or would a harsher punishment have been more fitting for the atrocities he committed? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Rediess was despised even within the SS, a man whose cruelty extended not only to victims of the regime, but to those who served alongside him. His story is a reminder that, even among the perpetrators of horror, there were divisions, betrayals, and deep contempt. History forces us to ask whether justice was truly served, or if his end was far too easy compared to the suffering he caused. Thank you for watching. If you believe these stories of power, cruelty, and downfall must continue to be told, please like, share, and subscribe. Join us next time as we uncover more hidden truths from the darkest chapters of history.